What if you could walk into any room and instantly command respect without saying a single word? What if people sought your presence not because of what you asked of them, but because of the strength you naturally radiate? And what if the secret to being valued wasn't about chasing approval, but about cultivating an unshakable presence that others can't ignore? How do you feel when you step into a room and command attention? Not because of what you say, but because of the quiet strength of your presence. Have you ever longed to be valued, to be recognized with the respect you deserve? If so, you are not alone. In today's world, many find themselves overlook their worth, unnoticed, as if they are invisible. But this is not a fate you must accept. Today, we embark on a journey of transformation, one that demands discipline, reflection, and resilience guided by the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. We will cultivate a presence that is not built on fleeting words or external validation, but on unwavering principles and self-mastery. This is not about seeking attention, it is about fostering a mindset and a way of life that commands respect effortlessly, one that makes you stronger, more composed, and undeniably valuable in the eyes of others. In this video, we will explore 10-time tested strategies that reshape not only how others perceive you, but more importantly, how you perceive yourself. Stand firm in this challenge. Watch until the end and prove to yourself that true value is not given. It is cultivated, refined, and ultimately recognized. This is not about creating an impression for a moment. It is about forging a presence that endures, leaving a legacy that speaks long after you have left the room. Are you ready? Declare it. Leave a comment saying, "I'm ready," and begin this journey now. Strategy 1. Mastering the art of self-care. To truly be of value to others, you must first cultivate value within yourself. A person who neglects their own well-being cannot offer genuine care, wisdom, or strength to those around them. Self-care, then, is not an act of indulgence. It is an essential foundation for a life of meaning, purpose, and quiet resilience. The Stoics understood this deeply. They did not see self-care as mere comfort or luxury, but as a discipline, one that requires self-awareness, balance, and intentional effort to take care of oneself. It is to prepare the mind and body to withstand life's trials with dignity and composure. 1. The foundation of self-awareness. The first step in this journey is self-examination. Know yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, and desires. Understand what nourishes your spirit and what drains it. Reflect on your needs, not in a self-indulgent way, but with the purpose of aligning your daily habits with your highest values. Socrates declared, "Know thyself." And Marcus Aurelius echoed this wisdom by reminding us that a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. If your ambition is to be strong, calm, and unshakable, you must first cultivate the conditions that make such a life possible too. The discipline of physical self-care. Your body is a vessel through which you experience the world. If neglected, it will betray you in times of need. The Stoics emphasize the importance of maintaining physical health, not for vanity, but as a means to endure hardship and perform one's duties effectively. A strong body supports a strong mind. This means nourishing yourself with simple but wholesome foods, maintaining strength through exercise, and prioritizing rest. The body and mind are not separate entities. Exhaustion breeds impatience, poor health weakens resilience, and neglect of one's physical well-being diminishes one's capacity to lead. 3. The strength of mental and emotional renewal. True self-care extends beyond the physical. It requires tending to the mind and spirit life will test. If you do not fortify yourself mentally, you will crumble when faced with adversity. This is why the Stoics practice daily reflection, meditation, and solitude. Reading, journaling, and engaging in meaningful conversations are ways to sharpen the mind and reinforce your principles by cultivating inner peace. You develop a quiet confidence that radiates outward, drawing others to you. There is an undeniable magnetism in a person who is at ease within themselves, one who moves through the world with calm assurance rather than frantic insecurity. The ability to be content in solitude, to find fulfillment in stillness, is a mark of true strength. For the enduring journey of self-mastery, self-care is not a task to complete, but a lifelong pursuit. You will stumble, you will neglect yourself at times, and you will be tempted to prioritize external validation over internal well-being. But the path of wisdom demands that you return to yourself to reset, to realign, and to recommit. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." If you think yourself unworthy of care, your life will reflect neglect. If you believe in your own value, you will treat yourself accordingly. And in doing so, you will not need to seek recognition from others. It will come naturally, for people are drawn to those who embody strength and self-respect, the true value of self-care. The goal is not to make others beg for you. It is to become someone whose presence is naturally valued, whose strength inspires and whose discipline commands quiet admiration. When you invest in yourself, not out of vanity but out of a commitment to excellence, you become someone who does not demand respect but receives it effortlessly. This is the essence of true self-care, not indulgence, not selfishness, but the disciplined pursuit of a life well lived. Strategy 2. Cultivate calmness and composure in a world that thrives on urgency, where emotions flare and reactions are instant. The ability to remain calm is a rare and invaluable strength. The Stoics understood this well. They did not seek to suppress emotion, but to master it, ensuring that their response to adversity was always measured, intentional, and rooted in wisdom rather than impulse. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, advised the greatest remedy for anger is delay. This simple truth holds immense power in moments of stress, anger, or uncertainty. The immediate reaction is rarely the wisest. It is in the pause, in the ability to delay reaction, that we find control, the power of stillness in a chaotic world in today's fast-paced society, where we are bombarded with distractions, conflicts, and external pressures. Maintaining inner stillness has become more important than ever. Every day presents opportunities to either be swept up in the turbulence of external events or to stand firm as an observer, grounded and composed. Imagine you walk into an important meeting running late, eyes turned toward you, some with disapproval, others with impatience. Instinct might push you to react, perhaps to apologize hastily, to defend yourself, or to let frustration rise. But the Stoic path is different. It teaches us to step back, take a deep breath, and regain control over the only thing that truly belongs to us. Our reaction by choosing calmness over chaos, you not only diffuse tension, but also command quiet. Respect people, admire those who remain composed under pressure, for it signals strength, not the brute force of aggression, but the unshakable power of self-mastery, the virtue of silence and reflection. There is a passage in the Bible that reflects a similar wisdom. Be still and know that I am God. Silence is not merely an absence of words. It is an active force of discipline, humility, and understanding. The one who speaks thoughtlessly reveals their lack of control, while the one who listens, pauses, and reflects demonstrates strength. When you cultivate stillness, you create space for deeper self-awareness. You begin to understand the patterns of your own emotions, the triggers that pull at you, and the areas where growth is needed. True calmness is not simply the absence of reaction. It is the presence of clarity. Strength through control, not suppression. Some may mistake calmness for passivity, as if choosing not to react means allowing others to dictate your fate. But the opposite is true. Stoic composure is not about weakness. It is about understanding the difference between what is within your control and what is not to master. Your emotions is to ensure that your actions always align with your values, not with temporary feelings. Those who explode in anger, panic, in fear, or crumble under pressure are slaves to their emotions. Those who cultivate inner peace are free. The truly strong do not shout to be heard, nor do they react to every slight. They observe, they assess, and they choose their response with precision, and in doing so, they naturally attract respect, admiration, and influence. Calmness is a path to respect and influence. Think of the figures in history, in leadership, in your own life, those who seem unshaken by turmoil. These are the individuals whom others look to in times of uncertainty, not because they impose their will upon the world, but because they embody a presence that is steady, unwavering, and deeply reassuring. When you cultivate this presence, people will naturally value your opinion, Your words will carry weight because they are not spoken out of haste, but out of deep understanding. You will no longer have to demand attention. People will seek it from you, mastering time through. Mastering yourself as the world seems to spin faster, we often forget the true value of time. It is an asset that once lost can never be regained. But time is not simply measured in hours and minutes. It is measured in the quality of our decisions in the moments we spend either reacting aimlessly or acting with purpose. When you master your emotions, you master your time. You become deliberate, strategic, and intentional in every action. You no longer waste energy on things outside of your control. Instead, you invest in what truly matters. And in doing so, you become someone others respect, admire, and seek to learn. From the Stoic path is clear. Be the stillness in the storm. Let others be consumed by their emotions, their anxieties, their need for validation. You instead will stand firm, not detached, but deeply aware. And in that awareness, you will not only gain control over yourself, but you will command the quiet respect of those around you. Strategy 3. Mastering the value of time. Time is the most precious resource we have. Unlike wealth, power, or material possessions, it cannot be regained once lost. And yet, most people treat time as if it is infinite, wasting hours on distractions, reacting impulsively to every event, and allowing external forces to dictate how they spend their days. The Stoics, however, understood the supreme value of time. They saw it as a currency far more valuable than gold one that must be spent with purpose, discipline, and intention, the eye of the storm, remaining steadfast amid chaos. Imagine yourself standing in the eye of a storm around you. Everything is in turmoil, people rushing, emotions flaring, uncertainty creeping in, and yet you remain still composed, unmoved. This is the ideal of Stoic. Composure, the ability to remain steadfast in the face of chaos, to resist being pulled into the whirlwind of external pressures, and to act only when necessary, guided by wisdom rather than impulse. While we cannot control the events unfolding around us, we can always control how we respond to them. This is the foundation of valuing time, not letting it slip away in emotional turbulence, but using it deliberately, shaping it with purpose. Composure commands respect. People are naturally drawn to those who exhibit a sense of calm authority. A leader who panics in crisis spreads fear, but a leader who stands firm brings confidence to those around them. Consider the example of a company on the verge of collapse. Rumors are spreading, employees are anxious, and uncertainty looms. A reactive leader might respond with desperation, feeling instability, but a wise leader embodying Stoic principles gathers the team, speaks with clarity, dispels rumors, and lays out a rational plan of action. The result, fear is replaced with assurance, doubt is met with strategy, and most importantly, the leader earns the trust and admiration of those who look to them for guidance. This is not just about business. It applies to all aspects of life. In moments of crisis, your ability to remain composed determines whether you are perceived as a source of stability or a contributor to the chaos. Practical steps to cultivate calmness and preserve time to truly master your time. You must first master yourself. Every wasted moment, every emotional reaction, and every distraction pulls you further away from living with intention. Here's how to reclaim control 1. Accept the pause in moments of tension. Do not react instantly. Instead, pause. A few seconds of silence can mean the difference between a rash decision and a wise one. The space between stimulus and response is where control is found. 2. Practice mindfulness. The mind, like a turbulent sea, must be calmed before it can reflect clearly. Regular mindfulness practices, whether through meditation, deep breathing, or quiet introspection, create a foundation of inner peace that remains unshaken, even in difficult circumstances. 3. Control what you can control. So much of life is beyond our influence. Wasting time worrying about external forces is futile. Instead, focus solely on your actions, choices, and mindset. What you control is your response, your discipline, and your ability to act with reason rather than emotion. 4. Adjust your perspective. Challenges are inevitable, but instead of seeing them as threats, view them as opportunities to test and refine your principles. Every difficulty is a chance to practice patience, wisdom, and composure. 5. Reflect. And learn each day offers lessons. Take time to reflect on how you handle challenges, where you faltered, and how you can improve. A Stoic does not merely endure hardships, they extract wisdom from them, ensuring that time is never wasted on repeated mistakes. The Stoic mindset, why time is the ultimate currency. The path of Stoicism is not about detaching from the world, but engaging with it more meaningfully. To do this, we must value time as a scarce and irreplaceable resource. It is. Seneca warned us of the greatest mistake people make. They act as if they will live forever wasting time, as if they have an endless supply. But the wise understand that every moment is an opportunity to grow, to act with virtue, to strengthen oneself against life's unpredictabilities by mastering time. You master life. And in doing so, you become someone who is not just respected, but sought after. Because in a world filled with distraction and haste, those who move with intention and wisdom stand apart. Strategy 4. The power of active listening. Most people listen to respond, not to understand. In a world consumed by noise, constant opinions, distractions, and the need to be heard, true listening has become a rare and valuable skill. The Stoics recognize that mastering this art is not just about improving relationships, but about cultivating wisdom, humility, and deep self-awareness. The depth of true listening. Ask yourself honestly, are you truly present when someone speaks to you? Or are you waiting for your turn to talk, rehearsing your response in your mind before they've even finished? Imagine a friend confiding in you about a personal struggle in that moment. You have two choices. You can half listen, nodding absent-mindedly while your mind wanders elsewhere, or you can be fully present, setting aside distractions, observing their tone, their body language, and the emotions beneath their words. When you do the latter, something profound happens. They feel understood, they feel safe, and in that moment, you become more than just a passive participant in a conversation. You become a source of strength, a rare individual who offers space for clarity and connection. Listening is not just about absorbing words, it is about perceiving what is unspoken, the emotions hidden beneath silence, the hesitations that reveal uncertainty, the unguarded moments where a person reveals their true self. Listening as an exercise in humility. Practice of listening is an act of self-discipline. It requires us to silence our own ego, to resist the impulse to dominate conversations, and to put aside the desire to always be the one offering advice. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." To listen deeply is to acknowledge that wisdom does not come from speaking, but from understanding. A person who speaks constantly learns nothing new. A person who listens with intent absorbs knowledge, gains perspective, and refines their own. Thinking how to cultivate active listening. Listening is not a passive act. It is a discipline that requires effort and refinement. Here are ways to develop this invaluable skill. 1. Master your own emotions and thoughts before entering conversation. Remind yourself of your true goal, not to respond, not to offer immediate advice, but to understand, detach from the need to interject, and instead focus entirely on the person in front of you. 2. Be fully present. Listening is more than hearing words. It is observing tone, posture, and the pauses between sentences. Resist the urge to check your phone. Mentally prepare a response or drift into your own thoughts. Give the person in front of you your undivided attention. 3. Embrace silence. Silence is powerful. Do not rush to fill the gaps in conversation. Sometimes the deepest moments of connection happen in pauses, where thoughts settle, emotions surface, and the person realizes they are truly being heard. 4. Ask meaningful questions. A good listener does not merely absorb words. They engage with them, ask questions that encourage the speaker to explore their thoughts further, not to lead the conversation where you want it to go, but to help them clarify their own understanding. 5. Listen to yourself. Stoicism teaches that we must also turn inward. Pay attention to your own internal dialogue. Are you listening with patience and openness, or are you reacting based on preconceived judgments before you can listen deeply to others? you must first develop the ability to listen to yourself, the Stoic approach to conversation. Marcus Aurelius in his meditations frequently reminded himself to observe rather than react, to seek wisdom rather than dominance, to engage with humility rather than arrogance in conversation. This means stepping away from the need to always be the one with the last word. The loudest voice in the room is rarely the wisest. The one who listens, absorbs, and speaks only, when necessary, is the one who commands true respect, the true reward of listening. When you listen with intention, people notice you become someone others trust, not because you always have the answers, but because you create space for them to find their own. You become a person whose words carry weight because they are spoken with thoughtfulness, not impulse. And in time, you will realize that listening is not just a skill. It is a way of being, a way of approaching every interaction with patience, humility, and a sincere desire to understand the world more deeply. So reflect on this. Do you truly listen, or do you merely wait for your turn to speak? The answer will determine not only the quality of your relationships, but also the depth of your own wisdom strategy. 5. Embrace lifelong learning. Seneca reminds us, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. This is not simply advice. It is a guiding principle for those who seek mastery over themselves and their place in the world. Learning does not end with formal education. It is a lifelong discipline, an ongoing refinement of thought, character, and perception to embrace. A life of wisdom is to acknowledge that we are always students of philosophy, of experience, and of our own evolving nature. Those who cease to learn become stagnant, while those who remain open to knowledge continue to grow, adapt, and elevate themselves above the distractions of the world. The path of constant self-improvement in the pursuit of discipline and self-betterment. A commitment to lifelong learning is not just beneficial, it is essential. Knowledge is not a static possession, but a fire that must be continually stoked. When we dedicate ourselves to continuous learning, we sharpen our minds, deepen our understanding of human nature, and align our actions with principles that withstand the test of time. More than just acquiring information, lifelong learning is about cultivating wisdom, the ability to discern what is worth knowing, what is worth pursuing, and what is worth letting go. This refinement of thought allows us to move through life with greater clarity, purpose, and resilience, making us not only more capable individuals, but also more valuable to those around us. The art of teaching and sharing wisdom to learn is to grow, but to teach is to solidify that growth. The process of imparting knowledge, whether through conversation, mentorship, or example, is one of the highest callings of a disciplined mind. Each lesson we share, each experience we articulate, leaves a mark not just on others, but on ourselves. Teaching forces us to refine our thoughts, to clarify our beliefs, and to hold ourselves accountable to the wisdom we claim to possess. This is why the Stoics believed in the power of discourse and reflection to share knowledge, is to strengthen it, to test its validity against the perspectives of others, and to ensure that it is not merely theoretical, but lived learning. As a forge for character, lifelong learning is not simply about intellectual expansion. It is also about the shaping of character. True wisdom does not reside in the accumulation of facts, but in the ability to apply knowledge with patience, humility, and integrity. Through learning, we develop patience, the ability to sit with uncertainty, knowing that wisdom unfolds gradually. Gratitude, a recognition that every experience, even hardship, has something to teach us. Resilience, the capacity to face challenges with a mind that seeks solutions. Rather than surrendering to obstacles, for the Stoic difficulties are not merely endured. They are studied, dissected, and understood. Every hardship presents an opportunity to learn, to refine one's approach, and to grow stronger in the face of adversity. The impact of lifelong learning on influence and respect. To commit to lifelong learning is to set oneself apart in a world where many seek to appear knowledgeable without true understanding. The one who quietly and persistently seeks wisdom gains an undeniable presence. People Gravitate toward those who think deeply, who speak with purpose, and who act with knowledge. Rather than impulse, by continuously refining our minds, we increase not only our own value, but also the positive impact we have on those around us. It is not dominance or authority that commands respect. It is depth. A well-read, well-practiced mind holds a quiet strength that draws admiration effortlessly. The commitment to growth. This journey is not quick, nor is it easy. The pursuit of knowledge requires perseverance, humility, and the courage to confront our own ignorance. But when we take the time to cultivate our minds, to develop our understanding, and to apply what we learn, we build a foundation for a life that is not only rich in wisdom, but also in meaning. Lifelong learning is not about collecting knowledge for its own sake. It is about becoming a more refined, disciplined, and impactful individual. And that is how we become truly valuable. Not by seeking admiration, but by embodying the kind of wisdom and character that others instinctively respect. Strategy 6. Embrace authenticity. Honesty is among the most powerful assets a person can possess. It requires courage, discipline, and a deep understanding of oneself. In a world where many wear masks to gain approval, the rare individual who dares to be fully authentic commands a quiet, undeniable respect. Epictetus put it simply: if you wish to be a writer, write. The essence of this wisdom is clear. Do what is true to you. Do not shape yourself to fit expectations. Instead, shape your actions to reflect your nature. Authenticity is not merely a strategy for gaining admiration. It is a way of life to live. Authentically is to remove the barriers between who you are and who you present to the world. It means aligning your words, your actions, and your values so that they form a single unwavering force. The cost of inauthenticity. Consider the story of a talented graphic designer. Patrick, at the start of his career, he allowed external pressures to dictate his work. He designed what the market demanded, not what truly resonated with him. Though financially successful, he felt unfulfilled, creatively drained, and disconnected from his purpose. One day, Patrick decided to abandon the expectations placed upon him. He began focusing on projects that reflected his unique artistic vision. At first, he feared rejection, believing that his audience would not embrace this shift. But something remarkable happened. His work gained the recognition not for its conformity, but for its originality. This transformation illustrates an important truth. When you are true to yourself, you will attract those who value you for who you are, not for what. You pretend to be authenticity as a mark of strength. To be authentic is not to be careless or impulsive. It does not mean rejecting discipline or ignoring self-improvement. Instead, it is the act of refining oneself into the most honest and unshakable version possible. When you dare to stand firm in your values, you make an impression that lasts. People gravitate toward those who are unapologetically themselves, because authenticity breeds trust. There is no pretense, no hidden agenda, only clarity and purpose. In contrast, those who constantly seek approval through deception or adaptation to trends may gain temporary acceptance, but will ultimately lose themselves. They become dependent on external validation, adjusting their identity to fit whatever is popular in the moment. This is not the path of the Stoic, the discipline of being yourself. Authenticity requires discipline. It is not always easy to stand apart, to reject superficiality, or to risk disapproval in favor of truth. But the alternative, living in constant contradiction, wearing a mask for the world, leads to an existence devoid of meaning. To cultivate authenticity, 1. Know yourself deeply. Spend time in reflection, understand your values, your strengths, and what truly drives you. If you do not define yourself, the world will define you. 2. Align actions with values. Do not say one thing and do another. Let your actions be a clear reflection of what you believe in. 3. Resist the need for approval. External validation is fleeting. True fulfillment comes from self-respect, not from the opinions of others. 4. Be willing to stand alone. Not everyone will understand or appreciate your authenticity, and that is fine. Strength lies in the ability to remain true to yourself, even when the world expects otherwise. Authenticity as a legacy in a world where deception is common and superficiality is rewarded. Authenticity is an act of defiance. It is a declaration that you refuse to be shaped by trends or dictated by external forces. Authenticity makes you irreplaceable, not because you seek to be different, but because there is no one else who can be you. It is this unshakable truth that sets the great minds of history apart from the many who simply follow the crowd by embracing and expressing who you truly are. You do more than shape your own life. You create a ripple effect. You give others permission to do the same. You contribute to a world where respect is not demanded through power, but earned through integrity. And that is how you are. Not only valued, but remembered. Strategy. 7. Maintain a sense of mystery within each of us lies a depth that cannot be fully expressed. A part of our nature that remains unseen, known only to ourselves. This private, unspoken aspect of who we are is not a weakness. It is a source of quiet strength. To withhold something of yourself is not to be deceptive. It is to protect the essence of who you are, to cultivate an aura of depth that draws others in a person who reveals everything at once, loses the intrigue that makes them compelling. The power of the unknown human nature is drawn to the unexplored, the mysterious. When we meet someone new, it is often their quiet confidence, their subtle restraint that sparks curiosity. It is not always what they say, but what they choose not to say that makes us want to know more. In contrast, those who overshare, who reveal their every thought and feeling without restraint, often diminish their own presence. There is no longer anything to discover, no depth to explore. They become predictable, and in predictability, they lose the ability to captivate, revealing yourself in layers. Imagine yourself as a book. A great story does not reveal everything in the first chapter. It unfolds gradually, inviting the reader deeper with every page. The same principle applies to human interaction. Share enough to connect, but not so much that there's nothing left to uncover. Allow others to earn access to the deeper layers of who you are through trust, shared experiences, and time. In doing so, you not only preserve your own value, but also ensure that the relationships you build are based on genuine interest rather than fleeting curiosity. Strength in silence. There is a certain authority in restraint. Those who speak only when necessary, who choose their words with care, command attention when they do speak. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius Seneca and Epictetus all practiced measured speech, recognizing that what is left unsaid is often just as powerful as what is spoken. The world is filled with noise, with people constantly seeking attention. By being the loudest voice in the room, the one who does not seek to prove themselves through words, but instead through action and presence, naturally draws admiration. Balancing mystery with substance. Maintaining a sense of mystery is not about being distant or detached. It is about being deliberate. It is the art of revealing only what is necessary while always leaving room for curiosity. At the same time, this mystery must be supported by substance. A person who withholds but has nothing of value beneath the surface is simply empty. The key is to continually grow, to seek knowledge, and to develop a depth of wisdom that makes what you do reveal truly meaningful. The irresistible allure of depth. People are drawn to those who exude quiet confidence, those who do not seek validation, who do not desperately explain themselves, but who simply exist with a strong sense of self. This is the foundation of natural attraction, whether in friendships, professional relationships, or deeper connections. By preserving a sense of mystery, by revealing yourself in layers, and by ensuring that what you do share is meaningful, you create a presence that is both respected and sought. After true influence is not about making yourself constantly available. It is about being someone worth seeking out. Strategy. 8. Practice discretion. In an age where every detail of our lives can be broadcasted instantly, the ability to remain reserved is a rare and powerful discipline. The world encourages constant sharing of thoughts, achievements, frustrations, and personal moments. Yet true wisdom lies in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. The power of restraint. There is an instinct in many to share everything, whether in social settings or online. The need for validation, the desire to be understood, or even the habit of constant communication often drive us to reveal more than necessary. But moments of silence, of carefully choosing what to share and what to withhold, create an undeniable strength. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned against thoughtless disclosure. The wise man lacks nothing but needs many things, whereas the fool needs nothing, for he does not know how to use anything but lacks. Everything, not all knowledge, is meant for public consumption. Not every thought needs to be spoken. The wise understand that discretion is not secrecy. It is strategic control over one's own narrative. The advantage of keeping some things private. A successful entrepreneur I once knew had an important decision to make, whether to publicly announce an upcoming project. His industry was highly competitive, and information was a valuable asset. He could have shared his excitement, seeking early recognition and engagement, but he understood that premature exposure would invite imitation and unnecessary risks. Instead, he chose restraint. He shared the details only with a trusted circle, ensuring that when the project launched, it did so with maximal impact and minimal external interference. The result, a competitive advantage, a strong market entry, and an increase in both trust and respect from those who worked alongside him. His discretion was not an act of fear, it was an act of strength and foresight. Discretion. As a form of power, practicing discretion is not just a lifestyle choice, it is a strategic approach to life. Every time you consider sharing something, ask yourself, does this information serve my long-term goals? Will it build trust and respect, or diminish my credibility? Am I sharing out of impulse or out of necessity? If the answers are uncertain, perhaps it is time to remain silent. Discretion does not mean detachment or secrecy. It means deliberate action. It means recognizing that the less predictable you are, the more valuable your words become. Those who speak sparingly but with intent are often the ones who command the most attention. When they finally do wisdom in restraint, a person who speaks freely without discipline often weakens their own position. They invite unnecessary opinions, create vulnerabilities, and expose themselves to risks they might not have foreseen. But one who masters the art of selective disclosure builds a foundation of trust, mystery, and influence. Discretion is a form of self-respect. It signals confidence, intelligence, and a deep understanding of what truly matters. It is through restraint, not excess, that the person cultivates quiet strength in the world where many seek attention through constant sharing. Be the one who holds back, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Let people wonder. Let them seek you out. Let them recognize the value of your words, not because they are frequent, but because they are rare and meaningful strategy. 9. Embrace the art of receiving. In a world that often glorifies self-reliance and independence, the ability to receive with grace is frequently overlooked. Yet, true wisdom lies not only in giving, but also in accepting. Whether it be kindness, support, or guidance, the Stoics understood that the act of receiving is not a sign of weakness, but an acknowledgement of our shared humanity. To accept is to recognize that we are not isolated beings, but deeply interconnected with those around us. It is an exercise in humility, gratitude, and trust. It requires us to let go of pride, to open ourselves to the generosity of others, and to see that strength is not found in rejecting help, but in embracing it with dignity. The Stoic principles of receiving, the ability to receive well, is built upon 5 essential Stoic principles, each reinforcing the value of openness and mutual support. 1. Acknowledging interdependence. No one is entirely self-sufficient. To believe otherwise is to fall into the trap of arrogance. Accepting help is not a weakness. It is an understanding that life is woven from the contributions of many, and to deny this is to deny reality itself. 2. Cultivating gratitude. When we receive, we are given the opportunity to practice gratitude. Instead of dismissing or downplaying acts of generosity, we should acknowledge them fully, recognizing that appreciation strengthens both the giver and the receiver. 3. Nurturing humility. To receive is to admit that we are not above the kindness of others. It reminds us that we too have needs, that we are fallible, and that growth often comes from allowing ourselves to be vulnerable for enhancing community bonds. When we accept from others, we create deeper connections. We show that reliance is not a burden, but a natural part of relationships. A society in which people both give and receive with sincerity is one where trust and solidarity flourish. 5. Encouraging generosity, just as we feel fulfillment in giving, others do as well. When we receive with grace, we validate their kindness, creating a cycle of generosity that benefits everyone. By denying others the opportunity to give, we rob them of the same joy we feel when we offer help. The discipline of accepting with grace, many struggle with receiving, fearing that it makes them appear weak or dependent. But rejecting kindness does not make one strong. It creates isolation. Instead, we must practice the discipline of acceptance in everyday life. Here's how: acknowledge compliments with a simple thank you. Do not dismiss praise or minimize your worth. Accepting recognition with humility does not inflate the ego. It grounds you in reality. Seek help when needed. Strength is found in knowing when to ask for guidance. Asking does not diminish your abilities. It enhances them. Accept criticism with an open heart. Do not fear feedback. View it as a gift that sharpens your mind and refines your actions. Express gratitude. Openly recognizing the kindness of others strengthens both your character and your relationships. Receiving as a virtue, not a weakness. Many perceive giving as noble, but receiving as passive. This is a misconception. Both require intention, awareness, and humility. The ability to accept is just as crucial as the ability to give for without receivers. There can be no true generosity by embracing the art of receiving. We cultivate an existence rooted in resilience, wisdom, and the profound recognition of our shared human experience. It is not an act of surrender, but a conscious acknowledgement that strength is not defined by isolation, but by our ability to connect, to trust, and to grow through the kindness of others. Strategy 10. Foster resilience and endurance. The foundation of resilience lies in understanding one fundamental truth. There are things within our control, and there are things beyond it. The Stoics remind us that suffering often arises not from external events themselves, but from our resistance to them. Resilience is not about denying hardship or pretending that difficulties do not exist. It is about accepting reality as it is, focusing energy on what can be changed and maintaining an unshaken spirit in the face of what cannot. When you cultivate this mindset, you develop a quiet strength that draws others toward you. They see in you, not a person tossed about by circumstance, but a pillar of stability, a force unmoved by temporary misfortunes, the power of acceptance without resignation. Many mistake acceptance for surrender, but to accept does not mean to give up. It means to redirect your energy toward what is productive. You cannot control the opinions of others, but you can control how much value you place on them. You cannot prevent hardship from arising, but you can control how you respond to it. You cannot change the past, but you can decide how to move forward. This distinction is what allows true endurance to emerge, not from passive submission, but from the wisdom of choosing where to fight and where to let go. Resilience is built through adversity. Strength is not developed in comfort, just as a muscle grows only when challenged. Resilience is forged through hardship. Every difficulty you face is an opportunity, an invitation to refine your discipline, patience, and clarity of mind. The Stoics understood this well. They practiced voluntary hardship, intentionally exposing themselves to discomfort so that they would be prepared for real challenges when they arose, sleeping on the floor for a night. To remind oneself of the impermanence of luxury, going a day without food. To train the mind to endure hunger without panic. Rehearsing adversity in the mind so that when misfortune comes, it does not feel like an unexpected catastrophe. These practices were not acts of self-punishment, but tools of mental conditioning, proof that one can endure far more than they initially believe. Turning adversity into advantage. The difference between those who suffer and those who thrive lies not in circumstance, but but in perspective to some obstacles are walls, barriers that block their progress. To the Stoic, obstacles are steps, opportunities to rise, to learn, to strengthen the mind. By embracing this shift in thinking, you transform hardship into an advantage. What once seemed unbearable now becomes a source of growth, the unshaken presence of the resilient individual. When you embody resilience, you naturally attract others. People are drawn to those who do not break under pressure, who do not allow the winds of misfortune to dictate their course in moments of crisis. They will look to you not because you claim to have all the answers, but because your presence itself is reassuring, stable, and unwavering. This is the essence of endurance, to walk through fire and emerge, not burned, but refined strength that leaves a legacy. The strongest individuals are not those who avoid hardship, but those who embrace it as part of the path by sharing your experiences of perseverance. By demonstrating through action that adversity does not define you, you inspire others to do the same. You become more than just a survivor of hardship. You become a symbol of what is possible. People will seek your guidance, not just because of what you have overcome, but because of the wisdom and vision you carry forward. The mountains you once feared will become stepping stones, not only for yourself, but for those who follow your lead. As we bring this lesson to a close, take a moment to reflect on what we have explored together. These 10 strategies drawn from the wisdom of Stoic philosophy are not just about changing how others see you. They are about reshaping how you see yourself. True value is not demanded. It is cultivated, respect is not asked for, it is earned, and influence is not forced. It is the natural result of self-mastery. Every journey is unique. How has this wisdom shaped your perspective? How will you apply these principles in your own life? Share your thoughts and insights in the comments. We grow stronger by learning from one another before we part ways. Remember, your support matters. A simple like, share, or subscription is not just an acknowledgement of this content. It is a way of signaling that you seek more, that you value these lessons, and that you too are committed to growth. And if you wish to continue deepening your understanding, be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new lesson in the art of Stoic living. Thank you for choosing to spend your time here. Today, keep moving forward, keep refining yourself, and most importantly, keep standing tall and shaken by the storms of life. We look forward to walking this path with you every step of the way.